find a Hebrew home, Hebrew home, Hebrew home. Good morning, Hebrew home. My heart is where the Hebrew home is. For where the heart is, that's where you find a Hebrew home.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Good Morning Hebrew Home. I am your host for today, Catherine Farrell, filling in for David Pomerantz. We are still coming to you live from the Derfna Judaica Museum here at the Hebrew Home. We have an exciting little mini-sode for you, so let's get right into it, guys. Today is Tuesday, October 20th, and the time is 10:31. Let's check out the weather for today. Today will be a high of 70 with a 20% chance of rain throughout the day. So not exactly a perfect weather day, but unseasonably warm. So if you can, try to get outside, enjoy some time, maybe take a blanket or a sweater. But really for October 20th, 70 degrees is quite warm. So enjoy it while it's here. And on this day in history, October 20th, 1955, J.R.R. Tolkien's final book, The Return of the King, is published from the 3 fantasy novels making up the Lord of the Rings book series, which was written between 1937 and 1949. The books were set in Middle-earth and featured hobbits, wizards, elves, dwarfs, orcs, men, and the quest for the one ring that rules the other rings of power. All 3 books were made into movies directed by Peter Jackson, with each movie released for Christmas and the final movie released on 17th of December in 2003. It won 11 Academy Awards, including Oscar for Best Picture. I loved the Lord of the Rings series. I read The Hobbit when I was younger, probably 13, 12, something like that, but didn't actually end up reading the Lord of the Rings trilogy until just before the movies came out. So that whole experience was a positive one for me, and I just loved every movie. So glad to hear that. In 1967, okay, this I guess is debatable, but Bigfoot was filmed. The legendary creature is reportedly filmed by hunters Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin, and that was creating what is now known as the Patterson footage. So, hooray for Bigfoot. In 1973, the Sydney Opera House opens, and that's after 15 years of construction. The Sydney Opera House is dedicated by Queen Elizabeth II. The $80 million structure, designed by Danish architect Jorn Utzon and funded by the profits of the Opera House lotteries, was built on Bennelong Point in Sydney, Australia. So pretty cool. I couldn't really find anything closer to us in time, but it's always good to take a trip down memory lane. Today is National Youth Confidence Day, National Brandied Fruit Day. Have you ever had any brandied fruit? I can't say that I actually have. Okay. And National Pharmacy Technician Day. On to our birthdays. We do not have any resident birthdays today, but we do have one staff celebrating their birthday. It's Jeffrey in nursing, so happy birthday, Jeffrey. And for celebrity birthdays, actor Bela Lugosi, who was born in 1882, was famous for his sinister portrayal of the elegantly mannered vampire Count Dracula. He was born in Hungary. We also have Mickey Mantle, born in 1931, Snoop Dogg in 1971, and Viggo Mortensen in 1958. And so he is well known for playing the role of Aragorn in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. He is also an actor, author, musician, photographer, poet, and painter. So many of these artists dabble in the other arts, and I think that's so cool. So happy birthday to everyone celebrating at the Hebrew Home and out there in YouTube land. And moving on to our food for today, let's take a peek at the menu. For lunch, we have stuffed pepper as the entree with seasoned potato wedge, Dessert is pineapples. I love pineapples. How about you, Olivia? Yeah. Me too, me too. And you know what, actually, speaking of David Pomerantz, I love to put pineapple into my fresh juice blends. It actually gives it a really nice citrusy, bright flavor. So, little tip on the juicing. And for dinner tonight, the soup is tomato rice, one of your favorites, right? Grilled cheese for the entree, and that's with tomatoes, and Kirby cucumber salad, and dessert is Jell-O. So, on to our positive news story. It's so interesting. I always say this, birds are just kind of a thing here. And now with the bird feeders outside, I found this positive news story about birds, and I just, of course, had to talk about it. So the title is Birds in San Francisco Started Singing Differently in the Silence of the Pandemic Shutdown, which I think is so cool. When the roads emptied of traffic in March and April because of the COVID-19 pandemic, Bay Area residents reported hearing more birds, and they were halfway right. Jennifer Phillips, a researcher at Cal Poly, and Elizabeth Derryberry, a professor at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville, collaborated to evaluate whether and how songbirds responded to the quieter environment with much less traffic. They compared the soundscapes and songs of the white-crowned sparrow recorded across the San Francisco area prior to and during the statewide shutdown. Quote, "When I saw photos of an empty Golden Gate Bridge, it struck me just how little traffic there was," said Derryberry, lead author of the study. "I realized we were in a unique position to look at how changes in human behavior might affect wildlife and what the noise reduction might mean for the songbird we study." The researchers found that the birds responded by producing softer songs that could travel over a larger distance. That's so cool. Unimpeded by noise. The urban songs also became sexier in terms of vocal performance, meaning birds sang a wider range of notes in their song in a wider bandwidth during the shutdown. As a graduate student from 2013 to 2017, Phillips studied the song of the white-crowned sparrow in the Bay Area. Now a postdoctoral researcher at Cal Poly, she returned to her former study sites in April and May of 2020 to record noise and song samples from urban and rural sites surrounding San Francisco and Richmond, California. She measured how loud the sparrows were singing and how far away from her they were. That's cool. The team then compared those samples to the ones collected from 2012 to 2020 by Phillips, Derryberry, and David Luther, a biologist at George Mason University. During the statewide shutdown, the team observed lower noise levels in the city as a result of less traffic. In fact, traffic on the Golden Gate Bridge returned to levels not seen since 1954. The dramatic reduction of vehicular traffic had erased a half-century of urban noise pollution. Quote, "The rush hour roar was more like a gentle, sporadic purr," Phillips said. "Usually, the Presidio is full of visiting tourists coming to see the Golden Gate Bridge, often in large groups. But this season, only a few local individuals or couples were out for morning walks or bike rides. It was quite peaceful." According to Phillips, prior to the shutdown, bird territories in San Francisco had nearly 3 times more human noise than in rural western Marin County. But during the shutdown, people could hear effectively 4 times more birds than usual. So when the birds don't have to compete with loud background noise, they can essentially sing more quietly, but still communicate over greater distances, approximately twice as far, Phillips said. This helps explain media reports suggesting that bird songs sounded louder during the shutdown and that people were more aware of the birds around them. Birds were actually singing more softly, but it was so quiet they sounded louder. Our findings illustrate that behavioral traits can change rapidly in response to newly favorable conditions, indicating an inherent resilience to long-standing anthropogenic pressures like noise pollution, said Derryberry. This study, published in sciencemagazine.org, also found that during the shutdown, male sparrows' songs covered a wider range of pitches and so might convey more information for females to use in selecting an effective mate and for males to assess a competitor. So birds are just such fascinating animals. It's a real attraction here at the home now, as you all know. We installed numerous bird feeders throughout the campus. And today is a great day to go outside and check them out, but if you're not able to get outside, just as a reminder, you can see our live stream video. On channel 88, we have the birds being filmed, and whenever we don't have programming on channel 88, you can check out the birds. So guys, that's our show for today. Like I said, it was a mini-sode. If you missed any part of this broadcast, we'll show it again tonight at 6:30 on our streaming channel 88. In between the birds. Remember to tune into Channel 8 later. We have Song Celebration with Claire at 11:15, Art History at 1:30, and On a Musical Note with Peter at 2:45. So please reach out and let us know your thoughts, your questions, maybe some new topics you want to hear about. You can reach us by dialing 2813, leave us a message. We'd really love to hear from you guys. So once again, I'm Catherine Farrell, filling in for David Pomerantz, and this is Good Morning Hebrew Home. I will leave you with this inspirational quote from J.R.R. Tolkien's Fellowship of the Ring. "I wish it need not have happened in my time," said Frodo. "So do I," said Gandalf, "and so do all who live to see such times. But that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us." Thanks, guys. Have a great day.